Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Richard Burton, and this is a David Charles.ent production with all the live interviews. Straight up, no chase.
What's up, good people? This your boy David Charles, and I'm at it again. And I want to bring to you this go round my good brother. Like now, this is my brother right here from another mother. You know, I've known Richard probably about 10 years, probably a little bit. Probably over 10 years. Yeah, over 10 years. You know, over 10 years of knowing Richie Rich, and to be able to see this brother grow, one of the most phenomenal artists. One of the most talented brothers. This brother done been all over the world. But I'm happy to have him here today for you. My man Richard Burton is in the building. Yes, sir. Now, you know, I gotta ask you first. What should I call you? Should I call you RB? Should I call you Shamrock? You know, Richard Burton. You know what I'm saying? Richard RB. I mean, cause you're a man of many talents, many characters, man. But yeah, you know, let's jump right into it, man. Let's talk about, like, you know, your beginning, you know, because I like to kind of have a conversation from back in the day, and we transition into what you got going on now.
So you want the story, huh?
And we want the scoop. I want a David Charles exclusive interview.
This is going to be a David Charles exclusive. A lot of things you're going to hear here nobody has ever heard.
There you go. There you go.
Because I want people to really know who is Richard Burton. So
exactly.
We could start off on the steps of Walbrook.
Yeah, let's start off at Walbrook.
But I'm gonna take you just a little bit before that.
Okay.
You know, my career always started with people seeing things in me that I didn't see in myself.
Right.
Seeing the talent.
Right.
I met a brother by the name of Keith Side.
Okay.
And we had a group called Chocolate Boogie, right? We used to pop and dance and all that. And we would like win every dance contest, like it were. And one day we had this big citywide contest on this TV show called Cityline. We were battling this group called the Rockets.
Right.
And it was a big competition, man. Everybody watching. And I remember we went on there and I broke out with Stevie Wonder for the first time when we was popping. We won. Yeah. And that confidence and that brother Keith, who now we call them mentors, but back then they were just brothers, man, helping young men out. Yeah. It was a different time. Yeah. He instilled that in us, and I did my first record off of that called Roxanne's Man. That's when Roxanne was out. Yeah. And I met Roxanne Shante, so I did Roxanne's Man. Were able to get on some of the little Swatch festivals and stuff like that. But that was back in Run DMC and Fat Boy. Yeah. And all that kind of stuff. Okay. So then let's go to Walbrook. So Walbrook, Warriors, what's up, Walbrook? I was actually getting suspended from school. Okay. Because we had this thing, like a buddy of mine, Greg Jones and Frank John, we would get into the courtyard and do the beatbox and be rapping. Okay. Knowing we supposed to be in class. Right. So on this particular day, I'm the only one got caught. Mm-hmm. So I get sent to the office. And I know we were supposed to have a special assembly that day, but I didn't know exactly who was coming. Right. So I'm sitting in the office, and Mr. Pope, you know, anybody who went to Walbrook, you remember Mr. Pope. Okay. You're like, boy, you best stay in that office while you're going home for a week, boy. So I'm waiting in there, and then all of a sudden, man, I look at the door. Here comes Roger from What's Happening. Okay. A couple Muslim brothers, and Muhammad Ali. Wow. The champ, the greatest of all time. Wow. Then that's when I find out that Miss Rondo and Mr. Billups, they playing this talent show. Now they know I love to sing and stuff, and I'm getting some keys. So next thing you know, somebody calls 5-0, and now there's a little girl who dad is gone. See, I'm not trying to say all of them that way, but tell that to the mothers morning every day. See, you may have it twisted or feel that you're elite. See, you could be a superstar or MVP. At the end of the day, to them, we still don't matter. So I wasn't going to let that happen. Right. So as they walked past the office, I just started breaking out singing The Greatest Love of All. Make a long story short, I didn't get suspended. I ended up in a stretch limousine with Muhammad Ali, brother by the name of Hakeem who was managing him.
Right.
Roger from What's Happening. We all went over to Sugar Ray Leonard's house to have dinner. Because every time Ali came to Baltimore or Maryland, Sugar Ray Leonard's mother would cook him dinner. Because he loved to eat her cooking. And Ali always wanted a group like New Edition. He loved New Edition. He felt they were polished. They remind him of the Temptations. And he loved that, you know, us as black men dressing sharp, smelling good, feeling good, being confident. So he wanted his group. So he started a group on his record label called Millionaire Records. We would call Action Pack 4. And that was our group. And then he called the Temptations, Eddie Kendricks, David Ruffin, and Dennis Edwards first. And asked them to take us on a road with them to do something they call woodshed. That's what Berry Gordy used to do to get artists used to the stage. And we actually were fortunate enough to go out with both sets of the Temptations. Otis Williams and Ron Tyson, that group, and Dennis Edwards. And we went out with Kool and the Gang, you know, and with Kool and the Gang, with Mr. Bell, that was the first time seeing a stadium, being in a stadium. I mean, like, just packed. Right. So that was like one of the best things. And I used to always ask Mr. Ali, like, is there anything I could ever do to repay you? I mean, I know I could never repay you for what you've done. And he said, just give other brothers the wisdom that I'm giving you. Exactly. And the wisdom that he gave me, man, I just really want to, while I'm on this earth, share it as much as I can to as many young brothers and sisters as I possibly can. So that was that beginning. And that's how I ended up getting with Muhammad Ali. And I came back to Baltimore. I bought a house when I was like 16. Right. With the money I made, and I bought it in Sandtown, Winchester, in West Baltimore. Right. You know, and I love that community. Them big 4-story row house mansions, and I saw the beauty in that. Right. And I said, hey, I'm home now. Yeah. And I've been there ever since. Yeah, that sounded like that was an amazing experience to kind of be, you know, up close and personal with Muhammad Ali, who's one of the greatest sports figures and activists in history. And I didn't understand the greatness that I was around at the time. Right. You know, I remember as a kid with my Uncle Clee, you know, go Ali and watching Ali fight. But to be around this man, when we traveled to Vegas, many times we would go to Vegas, but on this one particular time, he was meeting with the Prince of Brunei, the country. And he was talking to him about this powdered milk that he wanted to have distributed in Africa to feed the hungry. Right. Man, we had to sit like this for 2 hours straight, not saying nothing. And to a lot of people, they may look at that as, well, you being controlled, but no, man, it was discipline. Exactly. He was teaching us discipline. I mean, being around Ali, I've sat around dukes, earls, kings, queens, priests, you name it. I could imagine. I've been around Donald Trump with Ali. And one thing I did learn from Ali is that he never taught us hate. Right. You know, he had white friends, he had Jewish friends, he had people that he did business with that didn't look like us. Okay. But they respected him. Right. We could be in the suite, man, in Vegas and get a knock on the door, Siegfried and Roy, you know, the ones with the lions, because he loved, you know, doing magic. Or it's Gladys Knight. Or it's Lionel Richie. You never know who, you know, because everybody loved this man. Right. You know, so that was just an experience, but more so a blessing. Awesome. So I wanted to ask you more, about your, you know, at one point you had a record deal. Yes. You know, and you apparently put out an album or so. Is that correct? Yeah, well, I got signed to MCA. Okay. And I believe that was like 2001, man. It was so long ago. But, and it was, Jay Boberg was the president of MCA. And a guy by the name of Troy Patterson who signed myself, Mario, and Ruffins. Gotcha. I used to take Mario with me up to Jersey when I was recording my album. He was just a little kid. Right. And we used to crack the whole time on each other the whole time. I couldn't get him to stop. Right. You know, and, you know, I would take him up there with me, and then he got a deal. Right, you know, so it was a beautiful situation because you had Ruffins, you had Mario, you had Richard Burton. But like most record companies, I remember the record company, they were very, very interested in putting out the songs that sounded a little bit like Curtis Mayfield. Right. But then the production company, they wanted me to put out the songs that, you know, I did with Ruffins, and because he managed them, so he'd get paid 3 times. Now me, I'm a kid, you know, I'm just looking at, wow, I'm on a record. I got a record deal. I'm in Vibe magazine. I'm in like 100-something magazines all around the world. I'm just happy. I'm not looking at the business, and I should have known better because Ali taught us that. But nonetheless, I thank Mr. Patterson for giving me a deal.
Right.
For getting that deal. But I believe had we gone with the president of the label wanted.
Yeah.
And with the A&R wanted. Mm-hmm. And with, more importantly, I wanted, I think it would have been a different outcome. But
right.
you live and you learn. You know right. what I mean? And I rather look at that like a positive because he could have picked anybody.
Yeah, you're right.
To take the MCA. He didn't have to come and get a Richard Burton.
Yeah.
So, and that was a very interesting time. I could dig into some other things, but I won't.
Yeah.
We'll do a second interview on that one.
Yeah, no doubt. So as far, to my understanding, and I remember vividly that you were a big part of the Believe campaign, like right. with Mayor O'Malley.
Yeah.
So you were also involved in politics back then. So it was like you were wearing many different hats from the entertainment,
right.
Ali, you had some amazing life experiences at a pretty young age. So could you tell me a little bit about like how the Believe campaign went and your involvement with Mayor O'Malley?
And I've never told this story, so this is a good time. It was 1999.
Right.
And like I said, when I got back from being with Ali, I didn't, I was an entertainer. So, but still I had to take care of myself. I had to figure out a way to pay some bills.
Right.
So I became a community organizer because I love Sandtown and I saw a vision for it.
Right.
And I just had a knack for people. I could meet people, man, and relate to people and understand people.
Right. And
see them where they were instead of where I thought they should be.
Okay.
And that skill, I had to go back to Ali. I learned a lot of that from him. See, when you love your people,
mm-hmm.
you move different.
Right. Correct.
You move a whole lot different.
Right.
I was an organizer when there was threats on my life, man. I used to ride around in a retired police car with a 357 under the mat of the car. And even you ask people like Donnie Glover, he'd tell you, he heard in the street, he said, they got a hit on you. I said, what? Because, I was new to Sandtown. They thought I was a drug dealer at first.
Mm-hmm.
But I was an organizer, so I was helping, people mobilize their community, get drugs off the corner. So anyway, one day we had this National Night Out on Crime, and I invited all the mayoral candidates. It was Carl Stokes, it was Lawrence Bell, and a guy by the name of Martin O'Malley.
Right.
The other two didn't show. Maybe they were busy, but I saw this white guy walking up the street rolling up his sleeves, right? There was something about him that I just liked off the bat.
Right.
And we just started talking, and he was a musician too, so
right.
we had a lot of other things we could talk about. So he spoke at the event, gave me his information. I didn't hear from him. One day he called me, said, I'm thinking about running for mayor. How would you like to work with me on my campaign? And to be honest with you, it was an opportunity that I think anybody who came from nothing, who really didn't have the education or the skill set to accept an opportunity like that. To be able to help change people's quality of life citywide.
Right.
So then I became assistant to the mayor. One of the first things our deputy mayor, Laurie Swartz, and I did was create the mayor's office of neighborhoods.
Right.
And then one day, and it was like, man, God, I knew it had to be God because everything we were touching for the people.
Right.
And there were things I was doing for people, like after hours. I was like an employment agency. I didn't have to know you. You called me and said, Mr. Burton, I have a grandson. He's 22. He won't leave them drugs alone. But if he had a job, if he just had somebody to talk to him, I think he'd be all right.
Right.
I'd be meeting with that young man the next day.
That's awesome.
Either get him a job, DPW, make sure he's clean.
Right.
And I enjoyed that. It's the same feeling you get from when you help an old lady home from the market and she try to put that money in your hand and you say, no, ma'am, that's okay.
Right.
That feeling.
Okay.
That validation from God that you did something good, not from man.
Right.
So working at City Hall for me was that. I was a Baltimore boy. I'm in a position to help my people. And when I say people, I'm talking about lottie-dottie and everybody, not just black people.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then one day he called me into a meeting, and it was like the whole cabinet. And they sat me down and everything, and they said, Richard Burton is going to be our new director of the Believe campaign. I was like, huh?
Wow.
I was like, whoa. And then I didn't know what responsibility that would be. So to make a long story short, any success and every success that came from relationships.
Right.
I had a lot of relationships with TV, a lot of relationship with radio, and a lot of that comes from not being selfish.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had people sending me tickets from everywhere. What is it for me to give you 50 tickets to the Universal Circus so you can take your daycare or your kids?
Right.
At the rec center.
Right.
I don't have that many family members. And you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And another thing Ali taught me that I think helped me in City Hall, he said, regardless, I don't care what you do, wherever you land in life, don't you act too important. Don't act too important. Sometimes we get blessed to be in influential positions, and we think we're more important than the job.
Exactly.
When the job is what's important.
Exactly.
And sometimes God don't always, and people used to say, why are you still in Sandtown? You can have moved anywhere. And I tell them the same thing Ali told me. I said, sometimes God don't always put you where you're comfortable. He'll place you where he can use you. You don't even know you're being used.
Mm-hmm.
It may be he want all the other kids in the neighborhood to see a man in a suit and tie go somewhere every day.
Right.
He may want them to see a man in a suit and tie go to work, do 8 hours in a nice car, and you ain't had to sell drugs or kill nobody to get it.
Mm-hmm.
You just never know.
Right. So let me just slide this question in.
Mm-hmm.
Being as though you've had a background in politics, like rewinding, or fast forwarding to 2019, with the state of Baltimore, the murder rate, a lot of the things that's going on in the inner city. Like if you were in a position to make some type of a change or adjustment to kind of help to get the city back to where we're functional, to lower the murders. I mean, what would you recommend? What would you do?
Wow,
personally?
that's a long thing, but let me try to make it short. Serving under 3 mayors, I took from each one of them what I thought were their great suits, things that they did very well. One thing I would do is realize, as Baltimoreans, we're not going to save everybody.
Okay.
Some people got to go.
You're right. I agree.
Whether it's go to treatment, go to jail, go somewhere, they got to go. You can't help everybody at the same time.
Yeah, that's
because everybody not ready at the same time.
That's a fact. I mean, that's a fact.
Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, I can just give you all kinds of ideas, things that I would do, but what hurt me more so, I became disenchanted with politics for a long time because through the Rawlings administration and Pugh administration, it was like I was trying to give them information, and it was like as if they made me feel like I needed them to validate me. You understand what I'm saying? Somebody that's been there, that's proven, who have done things. I felt like I was a surgeon working in the hospital cafeteria. All this wisdom and knowledge, and one thing O'Malley always taught us: when a constituent call you, call them right back. You don't want to be with that man walking around in the community and somebody say, Miss Edna say, I called Richard Burton like you said, Mr. Man, but he ain't never called me back. You don't ever want that to happen. But now it's more so like we don't lend to the wisdom and knowledge of the community people. You asked me, I think there should be a quality of life grant for all those community associations that are really set up, that are structurally sound. I think they shouldn't have to beg for money every year. They should get a certain amount of money every year. They're the ones that got to walk through drug needles, to open their drug markets, hear the helicopters, hear the police sirens, hear all the black top, red top. You know what that do to your quality of life?
Right.
It takes years off of your life. So if they're the ones, matter of fact, we're the ones that have to go through all that, then when you break into a house, when you raid a house and you get 100,000 or you get that money should go back to the community, the people that's suffering from that.
I agree.
All you got to do is set them up with a community law center attorney and work out a deal with the University of Maryland for a business accountant, because that's where most of them mess up at, is with the money.
Right.
Assign one to each neighborhood association, let them administer their own money so they can run their recs. That's one thing I would do. The other thing I would do, if you want to change this murder rate, you got to tuck at people's heartstrings. Even a murderer don't want their own people killed. Right. Let somebody that's a murderer, you kill their mother and see what happens. They're going to want to know who did it. Right. And we know who did it. It's our cousin. This is Pook. It's Man. We know who the people are. Right. But until it happens to you, that's when a lot of times people want to get involved. So I think that's one thing we can do. Another thing, man, that I would do, I would create a Baltimore's Most Wanted TV show. You have to paint a lot of these victims. Not all these victims are street people that were dealing drugs. Right. You have to show that young man that was going to school and going to church and who did good by his mother and who respected his community. Show how that young man lived. Then maybe somebody will say, you know what, that was wrong. Right. That's wrong. So there's a lot of information I can lend, but they got to be open to receive it.
Right.
You know, and that's not what I'm seeing there. I'm hoping that this new administration, because I know the mayor, Jack Young, he cares about the city, but I hope he's too open for some information, suggestions, ideas.
Right.
You know?
Okay, cool. So, yeah, let's talk about The Wire, man. I mean, you know, for one, The Wire is gotta be one of my favorite shows, man, all time.
Cool. Thanks.
You know,
man.
and you know, of course, you were a part of The Wire for quite some time, and I know that had to be an amazing project to be a part of, man. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, you know, I had actually worked with Miss Pat Moran on a lot of projects for HBO before. I did HBOs with me and Tretch from Naughty by Nature.
Right.
It started off with us robbing a golf store, and we come out there and
Right.
well, he shot the police, and we both got locked up.
Right.
The Corner, doing things, but when The Wire, that was special.
Yeah.
Let me tell you why it was special, because I went to the Arena Players to get me. I was so nervous to come in and read for this part. Shamrock wasn't the character at first.
Okay.
His name was Dragon.
Okay.
So I went to the Arena Players, and for the free, they took me in and just trained me all night, man. We had to work till 11 o'clock at night, and they got me ready for my audition, and I went in there, and I got the role. You know, and it just goes to show, sometimes you don't have to leave Baltimore to make it all the time.
Right, right.
You know, what's for you is going to be for you.
Yeah.
And at that time, you know, I had so much going on. I had a record deal. I was working for the mayor. I don't know how I did all three of those at the same time.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot.
I mean, and people, you know, they look at it like it's something given. No, it wasn't nothing given. I would have to go and work like 7:30 until like 4:30. Then go home, go on the set of The Wire from like 6 o'clock until 2 in the morning. Then wake up, do it all over again, and then sometime have to go to community meetings at night. So it was like, wow, you know, I was really grinding hard, you know, to do that. And one thing I learned when I first auditioned for Pat Moran, it was this guy. He was auditioning for the major role of the show called Homicide, right?
Right. Okay.
And he had to hold a gun, and the producer told him to step back 4 times and shoot the gun. So he stepped back 4 times and turned the gun like that. So I could watch the producer's body language, stuff I learned from Ali again. Okay. And I was like, I can do it. So we went to lunch, and I saw how all the extras had to go. It's like 100 of us had to go under a tent and eat like hot dogs and stuff. And all the real actors, they went inside the church basement eating lobster bisque and lamb. And I said, man, I ain't never doing it like this no more. I want to be in that line right there.
Yeah, exactly.
So we came back, I auditioned for that role, and I did exactly listening.
Right.
And got the role for that. So that's why Miss Moran called me for The Wire. So the inside joke was that they changed my name to Shamrock because, you know, David Simon and Martin O'Malley had a little thing. You know, they didn't get along sometimes. Okay. So maybe he named me Shamrock to get at Martin, you know. Okay. Because that's an Irish thing. That's what the joke was. But I never knew, man. But it was one of the most beautiful blessings you could ever have because I made a lot of friends there. You know, people don't know Idris. He actually stayed with me. You know, and that's, man, that's the coolest guy you ever want to meet. Right. I mean, we'd be in my house in the studio, man, just us. Go upstairs, eat, watch TV, run to the store. One time we went to the store, and when we came out, man, it was like packed. People, everybody was outside, like Stringer Bell. It was like we were shooting a wire in the neighborhood or something. Right. And he just stayed there and he talked to everybody, man. That's how humble this guy is. Right. Man.
So how long did Idris stay with you about?
It was like on and off, like maybe like 2 days one time, a week one time, and then he got his own place. Okay. And on a set, you know, like when you're filming, you may sit on a set for 12 hours but only film for 1 hour.
Right.
So we had a lot of time, and we would joke on each other all day long.
Right.
People just sit around. Idris and I just cracking on each other because I was heavy set then.
Right.
And he would call me Nutty Professor.
Oh my God.
You know, it was funny, man. It was funny.
Yes.
But beautiful spirit.
Right.
You know, and you know he's a DJ too.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I can't wait to see him playing some of them Jasper Street and Richard Burton records. You
yeah.
know?
Well, I heard a track with Idris rhyming on it.
Yeah, he and I did a song together.
Yeah, he was actually doing his thing rhyming, man. I was like, I didn't know that Idris could rhyme, and I mean, it's been amazing how he's transitioned into like a box office movie star.
Man,
now.
I get so proud, and I never forget when he said, "Rich, you should come to LA, man. You should go, man. You should go to LA, man." You know, I was like, man, I'm married. I got a position here. I got a, you know. So I was always that type of guy. You know, some artists, you know, they can sleep on people's couches and just keep going till they make it. Just go over there on house that live in Atlanta, audition for a TV show. Go to LA, stay with their buddy. But I was already, you know, I was doing grown man stuff.
Right.
You know, I just couldn't up and leave at the time.
Right.
But God still saw a way to bless me with what I wanted.
Right.
What He saw I deserved, you know.
Right.
So I'm thankful for that. And Omar, Michael, he would come over the house and do music with me. So, you know, it was a friendship thing.
Yeah. You know? So as a, of course, you were a part of the cast of The Wire, but as a spectator or a fan of The Wire, did you have a favorite character or someone that you really admired, that you because I had my favorite character, so I'm just curious from you being a part of the cast. Did you have a favorite?
I didn't really have any favorite. I like Prop Joe, man.
You like Prop Joe?
I like Prop Joe. I got a proposition for you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I like Prop Joe.
Rest in peace.
Because I knew him and he was from here.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
Robert. And the other thing is, who else? You had to like Omar.
Yeah, Omar was
and
the
Snoop.
man. Yeah, I like
you know, anybody from Baltimore doing anything, I'm a fan of.
Right.
You know, I don't even have to know him.
So Omar, he was from Baltimore?
No, but
he was from New York.
Actually, yeah, he's from New York, but he actually does a lot of business here.
Okay.
And he's here a lot more than people think.
Right.
You know, because he does a lot of business here, and a lot of the characters still coming in and out. But The Wire was that experience that gave me that national exposure.
Right.
You know, I can go to Chicago, anywhere now, they'll still know Shamrock.
Right.
You know what I mean? And some people take that stuff seriously, man. They be like, I remember I went to Philly, and this guy said, "Yo, man, tell me something, right? When you was in the police precinct, and they was asking you stuff about Spring, yo, what was you saying, yo?" I was like, "What?" He's like, he's serious, like, yo, you want snitching, yo, what?
Oh man.
Man,
yeah, I can imagine.
They take that thing seriously, you know.
And it was interesting how despite of the popularity of The Wire, how it created like a scrutiny or a stereotype about Baltimore. Right. You know, a negative stereotype.
It did. It did.
So
you know, but you can't spotlight something that's not there.
Right. I agree.
If you don't have roaches in your house, I can shine 1,000,000 flashlights. I'm not gonna spot nothing.
Right. I got you.
So it also showed us a lot of things that we tend to ignore.
Right.
You know, it showed us where the drugs come from, how they come in.
Exactly.
But you gotta understand, nobody gonna go down there and mess with them. You know, them docs. You know, I don't care who you are, you can turn up missing.
Yeah.
You know, but it's easier to get mooking them on the corner.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's easier to slap them around and throw them in the paddy wagon. But you know, we have to be real, man. And it's not until we become very real with this real situation when we see effective change.
Exactly.
Aliens not coming in our city doing this.
You exactly right.
You understand what I'm saying? And it would be easy now. We be marching like I don't know what for that. Oh, Martians came.
Yeah.
Let's march on the Martians.
Right.
But it's hard to march on your own.
Exactly. So
it's hard to turn your own grandson in when he just bought you that living room set and paid your gas and electric.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right about that. So, so what are we doing? What are you doing now?
What are we doing now, man?
Yeah,
you know, I think reinventing yourself and learning the art of reinventing yourself is very essential to longevity. Because,
absolutely.
Like right now, we're touring all over the world with Jasper Street. Teddy Douglas and DJ Spin called me one day, and Randy Roberts, who's been like one of my best friends, man, forever. Right. He was doing a song called "Stairway to Heaven." Yeah. A dance song. So, and out of all the people Randy know, I mean, this guy's big in gospel. He knows, you name it, he knows. And these folks can sing. You know, the church folks sing.
Right, exactly.
But he said, I want my man Richard Burton on this with me. So he actually kind of breathed life back in me on the dance side.
Yeah.
And it happened so quick. Next thing you know, we all over the world, man.
Oh, that's amazing.
Playing in front of 100,000 people and 30,000 people and 5,000, 6,000 people. I'm like, wow. I mean, crowds I've never even seen at a hip-hop concert.
That's amazing.
The only time I've ever seen the type of crowds we perform in front of is like at country western concerts.
Right.
And sometimes you just got to step back and just thank God. Whomever your God is, you got to know it's somebody bigger than you.
Right.
And it humbles you.
Right.
Because, you know, when you get a certain age, man, you know, a lot of cats been trying to do this forever and still haven't gotten a break.
Yeah, you're right.
To be able to get on a major TV show, major record deal, then do it again.
Right.
That's a blessing. And, you know, I'm learning to treat my instrument more delicate.
Exactly.
That's one thing Eddie Kendricks and Ali always told me, say, that's your instrument, man.
Right.
And even though like a lot of people say, well, like I sound like Teddy Pendergrass, there's only one Teddy.
Right, exactly.
I don't think nobody ever sound like Teddy.
Right.
But I think when I was young, my mother used to always play Teddy Pendergrass, Curtis Mayfield. Then in my aunts, you know, when we were living together upstairs, she's playing Shaka Khan. Then I got another aunt downstairs in the basement. She playing Funkadelic Parliament. So it was music everywhere.
Right.
So now all those influences are just coming out me, like when I sing. And it's like, it's not just a performance. I mean, people actually feel something. It's a certain energy. And when people can come from Jersey to come all the way here to see you perform, I mean, that's a wonderful thing, man.
That's awesome, man.
You know what I mean? That's a wonderful thing. So right now we're Jasper Street touring, and we have the Richard Burton project, and we have Was It All It Was out, and just did the song I'm Blessed to Teddy Douglas. And I just got to really give thanks to the Basement Boys again. Tommy, Teddy, Jay, DJ Spin, DJ Greg Lewis, and all the DJs that play the music, man.
Absolutely. So, and you know, and I'm, you know, I had a question because I have a song of yours that was really touching to me. Well, you know, I have a lot of your music, you know, but I think that it's important for people to know how gifted you are as an artist. A lot of people don't, you know, you do so much. I mean, you know, I know a lot of people know you as Shamrock on The Wire.
Right.
You know people that, you know, and I was talking to Kenny today, and Kenny was, you know, Kenny Ellis, by the way.
Yeah. What's up, Kenny? What's up, Tank? Congratulations.
Yep. And he was talking about the chocolate boogie thing. So
wow.
He remembered all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So, but you know, but to get to the point that I was trying to make is that, you know, you got a song, and the title of it is I think it's At the End of the Day.
At the End of the Day.
Yeah, that is an amazing song. And I encourage people, if you're listening to this interview, go check that song out, because it really gives you the perspective of what it is to be black. You know.
You know how that song came about, though, right?
Yeah, but that was my question. My question, you know, to you was, what was the inspiration behind that song?
It was right after the Freddie Gray incident.
Right.
And you know, it don't take media long to find out that the guy from The Wire actually lives in the community. But I had nothing. That's why you didn't see me on CNN. I had the opportunity to do all the stations. I didn't have anything to say at the time. I was so hurt. I was conflicted. I didn't know how to articulate what I felt. So I did it in music. There you go. And that's when I did At the End of the Day. And I just went raw with my feelings.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I just poured it into that song, man. I had tears coming out my eyes when I was writing that song.
Right.
Because I could identify with it.
Right.
And it made me feel like no matter what you do, who you become, what you achieve, to some people, at the end of the day,
right, you
still just nothing.
Right. Yeah, man. Well, you know what? First thing, I want to thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you, man.
You know, your time, you know, coming to my home and relaxing, and giving me the opportunity.
Man, I gotta come. You gotta have me come back, man.
Yeah, you come back whenever you're ready to.
Some singing and some more stuff.
Yeah, and man. We brothers, man. You can always come back, but I mean, it's always a pleasure to have you around. I'm extremely proud of you. I know you're going to continue to do amazing things. So, you know, just for the people, the viewers, what is your social media? How can you be reached if somebody wants to get out, get in contact with Richard Burton? Like,
Richard Burton on Instagram. You got Richard Burton on Facebook. Right now, we're creating another website to include like a lot of the performances and video. Because of course, a lot of people, they can't go over to London or Croatia or wherever to see us. But to be able to bring that experience so people can see that. So we're formulating that now.
Right.
But you can hit me Instagram. You can hit me on Facebook. And we're actually starting a tour where I'm performing because, getting used to that stage again. I love to perform, man. I like to disappear, reappear, come out the sky. You never know how I'm going to come out on the stage. So we're working on that now.
Right.
So a lot of good things to look forward to, y'all. A lot of good things to look forward to. And it's Baltimore.
Exactly.
And I am a Baltimore boy.
All day long.
All day long.
Yeah, man. But I want thanks for coming out, man. You take care of yourself, bro.
You too, man. Peace. Peace out.
Brothers and sisters. Hey. Listen. Brother goes to work, trying to make ends meet. He's selling loose cigarettes and bootleg DVDs. See, next thing you know, somebody calls 50, and now there's a little girl whose dad is gone. See, I'm not trying to say all of them that way, but tell that to the mothers mourning every day. See, you may have it twisted, 'cause you